Welcome back, Trailblazers, and today we are going to be hopping out of the HuoHuoverse and we are going to be hopping into a tier list maker. Now, you can probably tell by the words on it, this tier list is a tier list of all the characters that I am going to be putting priority into pulling or obtaining through wishing. I think about this all the time, and I think my list stays relatively the same, but it shifts ever so slightly, so now I'm going to have a tier list where I can just go back and look at it instead of having to reevaluate my entire choices because I woke up and I was, thinking of a different stuff. So this tier list is going to be the priority of characters that have been released so far, and how badly I want them. But so really quick, I need to put on all of the characters that we already have, so we're gonna do that. Okay, now that we have that, that's actually quite a lot of them. But we have our tier lists, we have a must-have, so these are characters that I'm going to be saving for, and when they come around, I'm absolutely going to get them. Without a doubt, I will skip whatever I have to in order to have enough to get them. We have really considering characters that I really like, but they're not a high priority, because either that means they would need a whole team to make work, or they are not the best spot support for a character that I already have and I want to work on. And considering characters that, I'm thinking about in the background, but they're not really the best spot for maybe a team I already have, and they're not really a main DPS that I'm super in need of, or I don't need it for a specific thing that I'm struggling with, like Pure Fiction or Forgotten Hall. And then maybe question mark, maybe, I think. So we're gonna start with, well, maybe. Now, I actually really like Will. I wanted him really badly in the beginning of the game, but as I have a lot of teams now, I don't know exactly where he would fit, and I really think he would require his own team. So I don't think about him as much anymore. I do really like him as a character, though. And I do want to mention, this is by no means a ranking of their, skill or power. This is just my opinion. These are characters that will go well for my account that I think. So, if you all think that maybe I must pull for Bailu, which I don't have Bailu, I don't know why she's in there. She's going down there now. That could be, that could be argued. But yeah, so, I didn't put, no, because I would like to have all the characters at some point, but, yeah, that's probably not ever gonna happen. But moving on, Bailu. Maybe. I kind of feel bad because they're two, standard characters, but I really like the healer that I have. I just got HuoHuo, and she's really good. So I don't think I need another healer, and then Lynx is, I also believe, to be a really solid healer. Her cleanse ability is really strong. So I think the only other healer, we'll get to the other healer that I think I might need, that I've considered pretty heavily, but it is not Bailu. Seela. Maybe. I did not order this, by the way. This is just how they came. Seela's a maybe. Hunt's in a really weird spot where Hunt is really good about eliminating one target, but the problem is a lot of the enemies that you end up fighting and a lot of the big bosses that you end up fighting summon smaller enemies, and so you kind of have to either sacrifice the damage off of the big ones to deal with the smaller guys, or you just ignore the smaller guys and then that damage stacks up. So Hunt's in a really weird spot, and I really don't need another main DPS, so I just don't really think about most main DPSs at all, which is obviously going to segue into Jin Yuan. I already have an Electro, I already have an electric main DPS, which is Kafka, and I have a whole team centered around her, and I think Jin Yuan would really need his own team to really shine. So I don't think about him that often, although he is really good, and I really like the Lightning Lord ability, but yeah, I just don't think that I've ever had a moment where it was like, dang, I wish I had a different electric unit other than Kafka, and because she's just so good, and I am heavily biased. But so I also haven't really thought about Jin Yuan, but I've been really considering Luocha ever since he came out, but I kind of kept putting him off because I had higher priority targets like Black Swan for Kafka. But now that I have Black Swan, I have HuoHuo, and I have HuoHuo, I don't know how to pronounce him still, I'm sorry. And I have Ruin Mei. Luocha's slowly creeping up on my priority list. Luocha is really good with Jingliu on my Jingliu team, who I also have almost complete. but again, he's not like a must-have because Lynx is... I think Lynx is just really, really good. She's probably one of the best 4-stars in the game, in my opinion. So, yeah, he's slowly creeping up there. Unironically, not because he's getting better, not because my opinion of him is improving, it's just because I've been getting everyone else that I want, and he's a solid healer, so he's like the only other healer I've thought about. Blade. So I'm actually considering Blade. I think Blade is my most used support unit ever. 9 times out of 10, if I'm using a support unit that's, you know, someone else's, it's Blade. Because I just lack wind people. I mean, I have Bronya and I have HuoHuo, but they don't do break and they don't do damage that well. I mean, they're both support units. One's a healer, one's a support unit. If I were to get any of them, it'd probably be Blade for wind because, I mean, I just use him for support all the time. But it's also because I use him for support all the time, I don't think I need him as much because I have one available whenever I'm doing when I'm spending my Trailblaze power, and then when I'm fighting like the weekly bosses or like the level up talent materials or anything like that. He's not... I don't ever think that I absolutely have to have him. I just don't run into enemies anymore that I just don't have a character that can handle them very well, especially with Firefly. Breaking an enemy's not really an issue anymore. So at the beginning of the game, he would probably be really considering, but now he's fallen down to just considering because of the other teams that I've been able to get, mainly Firefly. Fuxuan. Maybe? I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a whole lot about what she does. I know roughly what she does, and she's a very good sustainer, but I just don't feel like I need one. I'm probably way overhyping Lynx, but I just think Lynx is great, and I don't need her. A lot of the teams that I have don't... Fuxuan's not their best support unit, and so she's always just kind of been like a, you know, maybe I could, but I could also just save for Luocha, and that's kind of been my thought process with him. Imbibitor Lune. Fun fact, Imbibitor Lune was the first character I lost my 50-50 on. I had won every 50-50 up to his banner. Now, to be fair, I only pulled on like 2 other characters prior to that, so it's not like that was impressive. And then I'm not going to talk too much about Topaz because, I mean, it's the same thing with Seela. The hunt's just a little underwhelming in my opinion. Like, they're really good, but I just need people that do a lot of damage and then can handle some of the lower guys to the left and right of the main person I'm trying to attack. And I think Topaz has gotten a lot better with Robin, and I think someone else. Robin and Dr. Ratio, those two go really well hand in hand, but I don't have Dr. Ratio built, and I don't have Topaz, and I don't have Robin, so I think that she's just not... She might be considering, because you'll understand why later, but so she's not like the most high priority. So I'm actually gonna handpick this one. Robin's a must-have. I've been talking about this a lot. I have Ruin Mei, who is used on my Kafka team and my Firefly team, and because in Pure Fiction and Forgotten Hall and all the other like endgame type content, you can only have her on one team. I think Robin is my best stand-in for Ruin Mei, specifically on my Kafka team. So my plan is to just permanently move Ruin Mei over to my Firefly team, and then have Robin stay on the Kafka team. So I think she's exceptionally good. Her E1's really good, and her Light Cone's really good. So she's my must-have. She's my last must-have. And then I'm kind of just floating around in the water, not really knowing who to save for, which is why I'm making this tier list, so I can look at this tier and be like, oh yeah, I could probably get this, this, and this. Yeah, Argenti. Maybe. I think I've interacted with Argenti the least amount out of all the 5-star characters, and I don't know if that's just because I did his, like, character-specific story in a day. Not even a day, it was like 2 hours. Or I'm just not that attentive to him specifically, but he's just not on my radar, because I know he's a main DPS, and if I'm being honest, I'm looking at a lot of supports and healers, as you can tell. That's where a lot of my attention is going at the moment. So main DPSs are mostly going to fall under this category, because, well, most of them here are already main DPS, and Argenti unfortunately falls into that category as well. Sparkle! So, Sparkle's interesting. If I had Imbibitor, then yeah, she'd be must-have. And I'll be honest, I'm not the best at handling my skill points, but there's also never a moment where I like desperately need the 2 extra skill points and the damage bonuses that she gives. So it's kind of one of those things where if I had Imbibitor Lune, if I wouldn't have lost the 50-50, then yeah, I would move Sparkle up to must-have. I probably have already, but just for the sake of it. But yeah, I mean, I just don't have anyone that utilizes her exceptionally well, and as a support unit, I have... that would fill in for a different character. She's just not as good as, say, Robin. Like, I really need Robin, but she's not a bad character. And then Adventuring. I'm going to put him in considering. I used Gepard for a lot of... Actually, I used Gepard for most of Penacony, and I actually really like Gepard. He grew on me a lot once I started to use him, and from what I've understood... Now, I don't have him, so I could be wrong. But Adventuring is just a better Gepard, so I wouldn't be upset getting him. But he is definitely not my highest priority, and he's definitely... I don't think about him as often, but I'm like, okay, who should I save it for next, after Robin? But he definitely has a leg up on everyone else on this tier, and probably everyone else in this tier. Now, this is not in any order, I just decided to put him here, but he's probably the runner-up in the considering category. And then Acheron. Really considering. I like Acheron a lot. I like her so much. She's probably one of she's probably my 3rd favorite character after Kafka and Firefly. And the good thing is that she can kind of be put into my Kafka team with just a few minor changes. So I wouldn't have to build a whole new team around her, although I probably would eventually. So that's really nice, and I just really like her as a character, so she's getting a lot of favoritism in that regard. But I kind of have to have Robin first, and then I can kind of start dabbling in characters that I think I like, rather than what I need to increase my team's capability, because I want to be able to 12-star the in-game content relatively soon. So Acheron, really considering. I really want her. She's such a good character, and I want to be able to play as her, but right now, my Kafka team needs a fill-in for Ruinmei, and Robin takes that cake. Boothill. Unfortunately, he's another main DPS, so I haven't really been considering him that heavily. He is probably my most wanted physical DPS, because he's just really fun, and I like his gimmick. But again, I just don't look at main DPSs as much, because what I need now are supports to supplement the DPSs that I do have, and unfortunately, Boothill does not do that to my knowledge. Jade. I really don't know much about her. I know she's really good in... not Pure Fiction. Yeah, Pure Fiction, I think. Along with Himiko and Herta. But I already have Himiko and Herta. So unless if she goes well in with those 3, she might. Then she'll probably go up to really considering. But since I don't know so much about her right now, she's just in considering. So she could probably move to either or, depending on how good she is with my Himiko team. But yeah, although I think she's more of a main DPS. I could be wrong though, so. But yeah, don't know much about her. This guy just came out, so I'm just gonna put him in maybe, because he just came out. I'm working on a build guide for him, so I kind of have a general idea on what he does, but that doesn't mean that I've been thinking about about getting him myself, because I have Black Swan. And again, once I get Robin, I think my Kafka team's done. I just need to work on artifact sets, and I don't really want to change it. So, he's a maybe, although I think he is also really good. He allows for more agility teams, and he can be run differently than just stacking Dot, which is interesting. And then Yunling. Main DPS. Actually, is she a main DPS? Because I know she counters, but I think she also might be a main DPS. She's either a main DPS or she's a sub DPS, and either or, because of that, she's not that necessary for me. I don't think there's any reason for me to get her. I don't think so. But yeah, so here's my tier list. I'm gonna look at this a lot in case if I keep forgetting. But yeah, Robin, absolutely must have. I really want to go for her E1. I really want her light cone. So I'm hoping she doesn't come back anytime soon, so that I can save, because I don't have any pulls. And then probably Acheron, because I really like Lynx. And Loach is really good. I know he's really good, but I don't know how much of a difference Loach makes over Lynx. and then considering will change drastically depending on how much I look at Jade for her Himiko, and if the people that I use Blade in support just yoink him away for some reason, I don't have him anymore. But yeah, so here's my tier list. Please let me know down in the comments if, like, maybe I'm horribly misunderstanding this guy and he needs to be over a must-have. That'd be great, so that way I can look out for him later, because I'm probably not going to be able to get him this banner anyway. But that'd be really nice. Or maybe I'm overhyping Jade, or you could just tell me that Luochi needs to be a must-have, and I'd probably agree with you. So with that, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm going to see you all in the next one.